Welcome back to the Lakers Fast Break. I'm Jamie Sweet here for Gerald Glassford, even though it says Gerald Glassford down below. I wonder if I can change that. I'm sure I can if I work on it. Anyway, I'm Gerald Glassford. Welcome to the Lakers Fast Break. I'd like to thank all of our contributors listed in Gerald's epic tag thing that he does on every video and so on and so forth. But especially Joe Soro, Laker Tom here with me today. Gerald, Stone Hansen, Nick, Sean, Magic Man, Grice, and so on and so forth. Well, it's a big cult we got here at the Lakers Fast Break. So, welcome to the show. Tom and I had said this was going to be a forum for debating trades, but the Lakers filled out their roster so quick. There's not much left to talk about. So we're just going to stare quietly at the camera for about 45 minutes. Nah, I'm just joking. We'll talk about some stuff. I see some.
There's actually some good stuff to talk about.
There's some good stuff to talk about.
It's an interesting situation the Lakers find themselves in right now, and we're still waiting to see who's going to be the 14th guy. That's the big question right now.
So a couple of things that some people might want to get hip to. One is how the two-way contracts work in the new CBA. If the Lakers carry, I believe, 15 players, they can have 3 two-way contracts. If they carry below that, and the minimum roster you can carry, it's a very small wiggle room.
13, I think, still.
13 is the minimum you can go into a season with. And I'm not talking training camp. Training camp roster sizes are huge. There's going to be like 30 guys at camp. And then 10 of them are going to get cut the first day and so on and so forth. So I'm not talking training camp. I'm talking about final roster sizes, guys who we expect to see in some kind of rotation on a semi-regular basis. And most of those guys are on the team now. As Tom said, we're talking about the 14th, maybe 15th man on the roster. Guys who, if you're thinking the season hinges on them, well, you're in trouble because that means it's already too late. We're going to be bad. But that's being the case. We do have some questions here, so let's start with this guy. So Jet Bluey says, your dream scenario, big man, realistically. Now, Tom, I'll leave this to you. Tom and I have vastly differing opinions on what makes a good big man in the NBA. It's one of the things we debate about the most, actually, to be honest.
I think it really comes down to, why don't we redefine it this way? What do the Lakers need in a big man?
We still debate that a lot.
Dramatically varies from team to team, philosophy of the coaches, of the front offices, and so forth. Appropriate to this conversation, what just came out today again was Rob Pelinka on ESPN talking about how the Lakers need to return to the 2 big men format that they had back in the championship of 2020. And this is acknowledging that there are some differences in the game today versus 2020, that spacing has become a lot more important. And when you're talking about a 39-year-old LeBron James versus a 35-year-old LeBron James, yeah, LeBron needs a lot more spacing, and AD, having lost his three-point shot since the 2020 championship, that raises the whole issue that we do need a big body next to AD, which means AD is going to play the 4, but that big body's got to be able to shoot. Now, what's interesting about what excuse me. What's interesting about what Pelinka said was that he said that was one of the reasons that they signed Hayes. They really think that Jackson Hayes can fit that mold. Now, he's 4 years in the league. His first 2 years, he was like 1 for 4 for threes and 5 for 30 or something like that. And then he had a pretty good year where he shot 35% and he shot well over 100 threes. Last year, he was injured for the first part of the year, never really got going. And he's always been a good 70%, mid-70s free throw shooter. So he's got potential in that sense. But, it all comes back to, I made a tweet the other day or yesterday that I think really sort of summarizes what the Lakers' philosophy is strategically as a team when it comes to this whole three-point shooting differential in the modern NBA game. They would like to take a lot more threes. They'd like to make a lot more threes, but they also understand that the guys who are shooting those threes have to do other things if the team is going to be a championship caliber team. They got to defend, first of all, or they're not even going to get time on the court. That was a big part of Beasley's problem. He just could not defend well enough to consistently stay on the court. Secondly, you got to play make. You notice everybody on the Lakers, whoever lasts on this team, are guys who can get up there and at least contribute 3 or 4 assists per game. Because it adds to the style of play. And then thirdly, size. We've gotten a lot bigger and longer this year, especially in the backcourt. And the formula that we had that works and got us to the conference finals last year was that points of the paint and made free throws can offset the differential of the three-point shooting. Now, that doesn't mean we don't try to get better as a three-point shooter, but you got to understand that we can't just go out and get Duncan Robinsons to solve that problem because they don't fit the rest of the strategy defensively, playmaking wise on the team. So we need to, we basically are getting players who have that ability. Now, Jackson Hayes may not be able to stretch the court the way that we want. We think that maybe Phil Handy can turn him into a better shooter the way he has apparently done with Hachimura. So you hope to improve that. But the other thing that Hayes does is he's got size. He shoots free throws. He gets to the line. He dunks the ball. So, there are other ways. You just don't have to totally abandon. You look at who won championships in the NBA in the last 10 years. And three-point shooting is important, and having timely clutch shots is really important. It isn't the teams with the best three-point that shot the most threes or that made the most threes that won those championships. It was basically the team that did everything else well and still had a good performance in the threes, but they weren't relying upon it solely. So I think this whole thing about who is the dream center for the Lakers, in context, it's Turner. He's the perfect fit. And I'm saying perfect fit from 3 standpoints. He shoots threes effectively. He can protect the rim effectively, and he doesn't cost more than $25-30 million at max. Because you can't go over $30 million for anybody else on the team with the 2 superstars, or you'll run out of room to have a deep team.
Sure. Also, not on the team currently, but yeah.
Yeah. And now the real question is, of the people that are left, what's happening? I mean, Bobo's going to sign now.
Bobo's going to sign.
Well, I can't believe Phoenix has done a terrific job, man. They're going to have a pretty good team. They don't play defense, but man, you're going to have to score a lot of points to beat them.
In theory, yeah. Jury's out on that for me. So I'm of a slightly different opinion. I think Jackson Hayes is a perfect pickup because he doesn't shoot threes really well, or a lot of them. I think
he's going to shoot them.
You say that he took about 100 threes, but that still translated to about 2 attempts a game if you go back and look at his stats. So he's not everybody talks about volume 3-point shooting, but the Lakers did just fine last season with LeBron James and Austin Reeves and D'Lo being the quote-unquote volume 3-point shooters on the team, and none of them shot more than 7 a game.
Well, if we'd also done a lot better if we took off LeBron shooting.
But he's going to shoot. That's the thing. LeBron's shot at field goal attempts are going to start to look less and less like his career, which is if you look at the shot attempts for the bulk of his career, it's 15 feet and in, right? A lot of paint points, a lot of drives. That's going to stop. He's going to shoot more jumpers. He's going to shoot more threes. He's going to shoot about 8 threes a game this season, I'm thinking. And he shot just over 7 threes a game.
I think he's going to shoot better. I think he'll shoot better.
I think that depends on his foot.
But that's the big thing you got to count on. I mean,
but
I'm writing an article on the 5 wild cards that the Lakers have this season, and number 1 is health.
Yeah, LeBron's health, and then number 2 is AD's health, and number 3 should be LeBron's health again. And number 4 is team
the number
health.
1 of the 5 is obviously health, and health is
it's all.
But assuming that LeBron and AD are both healthy, I think it's going to be Jackson Hayes first is not going to start anywhere near future. You know, he has to first prove he can
Oh.
even be the backup center.
No, I don't think that's true. I think they are going to look to start him.
You think they're going to have Hayes start?
I think they're going to have Hayes start and I think it'll be more like how it was so I'm taking Rob at his word. This is why I think Hayes is perfect.
He's going to be the JaVale McGee.
He's an excellent pick and roll center, so that works with D'Lo and Reese's game, and it frees LeBron and AD up to be the recipient of passes off of both of their pick and roll action with Hayes. You don't need to involve LeBron in the pick and roll. He just needs to, you know, you can.
Nice if we had some preseason games to before we made these opinions.
Well, no, I mean you got to base it off of. I mean, right now it's summer league. We'll get to summer league towards the end of the show, and how well Max Christie and Castleton look. But I think that they're gonna either promote Castleton or find another big. If Bol, which I'm not mad about Bol going to Phoenix.
I would have loved to have seen it.
Just like I'm not mad about Mo Bamba being the backup center to Montrezl Harrell on the third guy off the bench. Or I'm sorry, in Philly. Neither of the. It's going to be at worst. It'll be Tristan Thompson. At best,
I think he's the fallback, and that's not bad because
he played great. He played great.
I'm big on Jackson Hayes, just like you are, because I really think that he can be. But I actually think he can be a stretch center. He doesn't have to shoot 10 threes a game to be a good stretch effective player.
Let's just put that.
But he's gonna shoot him. That's why they can't have a guy.
He better not shoot him. He needs to get down in the paint and rebound the ball and get it back out to a really good shooter. We don't need a stretch five. You need him setting screens and rolling hard to the rim. That's it.
You can't have two non-shooters on the court.
Yes, you can. Who's the other non-shooter in this scenario? You got Reeves.
Davis, man.
No, that's AD. If he knows he's going to be more at the four, is going to drop 10, 15 pounds. He's going to get a little more lift on that jump shot, which is he's been leaving him short since he bulked up. And it's been 2 years running straight. Short jumpers. All his jumpers hit the front of the rim.
Let me tell you, Jackson Hayes is going to shoot a lot more threes than you want. Not as many as I want, but
that's
a lot
fair.
more than you think.
I don't know about a lot. I'm going to say he caps out at around 100.
I think
he and Vando.
If he's playing 15 minutes a game,
if he and Vanderbilt,
if you're going to start him, he's going to be playing more than that.
He's going to be playing 20-25. I think he and Vando are both going to play about 20-25 minutes a game, and you're going to have you're going to rotate a Rui at the 5, Vando at the 4.
I think they start Rui. I think they start Rui because
at the 3, yes,
starting Rui is almost like starting a second big. Rui, LeBron's going to play the 3, and he's going to slack off on defense like he always does, put pressure on in a few occasions and so forth, but he's going to play the 3 because Rui can't play the 3.
Speaking of LeBron,
Rui is basically going to be the second big man to start the season, and it'll help a lot. He'll get to the free throw line, and he'll put pressure on the ball. He'll put pressure on the rim the way that we really need, that Vando can't do, as well as being able to stretch the floor.
We'll see.
So Rui, I think, is the natural, perfect starter to go for now. And I think Hayes has to first prove he can listen to Phil Handy and do exactly what Phil's telling him to do. You get the ball right here, this is your move. You get the ball over here, this is your move.
Sure.
You're doing two things: protect the rim and dunk the ball. You know?
We'll see.
And start off as the backup center, that's what you do.
Sure.
We'll get you some minutes with AD. If you got an open 3, take it. No problem. But as long as you continue to do the other things that you're supposed to do. He needs discipline.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, he's a little out of control sometimes.
Anybody who comes from Houston, come on, man. Now Houston was the worst place for that kid to go.
I mean, it's a bad place for everybody. Look at what it said to James Harden. Can LeBron come off the bench and the Lakers be successful? All right, we're just going to move right on. All right. So I'd like to say welcome, Kurt, Daniel. Joe Soros would say is announcing his retirement. I don't know what he's retiring from. Are you retiring from doing lawns or well, anyway, you're retiring
from drafts. No more drafts.
I don't believe it. Hey, California jokes. All right. What's up, Comioso? All right, Bear. Suns. Yep. Suns got Bol. No, nobody cares.
I care.
Bol.
I wish we'd had Bol. I think it was.
No. Well, I'll say this. I was a little bit surprised when he cleared waivers because there's teams with cap space that you would think who are like in rebuild mode, like Detroit and Orlando. Well, not Orlando, but like there's teams that like you're kind of like, oh, you don't want a high potential guy who's come from like the Denver system is pretty solid.
He's only 23 years old.
Yeah, he's 23 years old.
And he's got talent, man.
He's got talent, but like people are like, somebody
they
like
treat him like a freak is the problem. He's become a sideshow.
Well, I mean, people are trying to make these Wembanyama comparisons, and I find it absurd because Bol's been in the league for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And his best season, he averaged under 8 points and under 4 assists. So this is the problem. This is the problem kind of facing a big man today. If you are trying to cast yourself in the role of Jokic, where you're this do everything, grab the ball off the miss, push the ball up the court, make a play, make a shot, kind of a center. You can't just do it once or twice a game. And you can't just do it like on the fly. If it's not part of the team philosophy, it's just not going to work. You're going to piss off the point guard.
Well, I don't even think you can. Coach. I don't think you're going
to be this guy who doesn't fit in the mold of what the team is trying to do. If you're just trying to showcase flashy skills and stuff, that's G League. That's what the G League is for. But if you want to win, and this is what Denver showed us this last season. If you want to win, you have to have a team that buys into a concept and executes the concept. 5 guys at the same time on the floor working together. That team doesn't just work because Jokic is supremely talented. It works because all 4 other guys acknowledge
it works because they've been together for a while. They've perfected it.
They perfected it, right? That's the other thing. Jokic is a freak of nature, and he's put in the time on his body. He's put in the time on his body. Bol still looks like he could eat a Twinkie a day and not gain 10 pounds.
Yeah, but you can't compare those two types of players. That's
what people want, right?
That's the thing that makes Jokic so tough is that he is so big. And I'm not talking about tall. It's the bulk. It's
he's strong. He's
big and strong and
strong like Ox 1947.
That's why guys like Bol or Wembanyama or any of these string beans, that's a whole different type of player you're talking about. They're talking about those are the guys who are maybe basically should be emulating Kevin Durant, trying to get to be Kevin Durant, because they're going to have to live on their perimeter game. Because their interior game is not going to work against a lot of these guys. And then also, too, they have to make up for it. They have to make up for not having the size to do what Jokic can do by playing defense, man, doing something that Joker can't do, which is block shots and actually change the game with your speed and athleticism. I mean, that's what appealed to me about, I called the Bol a potential Lamar Odom clone.
Lamar came in better than Bol did day one. Lamar came in NBA ready day one.
Sure,
that's the thing with these. That's the thing with these project guys. It's like when you get 4 years in,
it's a project because of the extremities of the freakish nature of his physical stature and the thinness of him. And
that's the problem,
it's surprising. Were you surprised at Wembanyama's performance?
No, he's very thin.
I mean, summer league is not when that kind of player can really perform well, and surrounded by a bunch of guys who are summer league players is not a way to show yourself off.
I thought the refs let the defense get up in him a little bit, which I think is good. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Popovich went up to the refs and like, hey, psst, don't worry about calling fouls for Wemby. Like he needs trial by fire here in summer league. So this is what I will say this. I was surprised they played him 40 minutes because based on his physique, the more minutes you play him based in the fatigue level that he probably accumulated in that game, he's never played NBA level competition. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, he dominated EuroLeague.
I think that's what we should do with LeBron and AD. I don't think they should play more than 30 minutes a game, man.
I mean, ideally, but that's so
if
anyway.
If you were to chart it medically, I'm sure playing that extra 10 minutes a game
ups your injury percentage by a good 30%.
Your injury things have got us.
That's why I was surprised the San Antonio let him play so long in a summer league game, which means absolutely nothing.
Well, especially after seeing what happened to Chet last year,
And Scoot in his first game with Portland.
I know. It's not what he's out now for 6 weeks or something like that.
I mean, he's going to miss the start of the season, basically. All right, so Kurt Affair, I just want to put this crazy notion to rest. There's no center on the Lakers will ever make enough threes to keep defenses from clogging the lane against LeBron James or Anthony Davis. It just will not happen. No defense is going to be like, you know what? That center out on the 3-point line really worries me. Let's let LeBron drive.
Well, I don't think
it's just not going to happen. It will not.
It doesn't matter whether it's a center. You just have to think about.
Doesn't matter who it is. The recipe to defend LeBron James is pack the paint. The recipe to defend Anthony Davis is pack the paint. Yeah. The paint will be packed.
True, but there is a difference. There's a difference between.
Here's a much
Bando
more
in the corner. There's a difference between Bando in the corner and Buddy Hield in the corner.
There's not.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not.
Yes, because if you put Buddy Hield in the corner,
you're going to put one.
Nobody's going to help out of the corner.
That's one guy.
They're not going to help out of the corner. There's only a half a dozen guys in the league that are probably enough.
I'm telling
you. They'll do it situationally if somebody gets hot. But
maybe at best.
Now here's the one thing I will agree with you on it, which is why I don't think, it's why I said earlier, the Lakers' path to success has to be to offset the 3-point differential with inside play by scoring points in the paint and going to the line. And the way to do that is to have players who also are capable of having that happen. And I think that Lakers have done a good job on that. So I think that we are going to be a better points in the paint team and a better free throw team than we were last year because we're bigger and we're better. I also think we will be better 3-point shooting because I do think that we have some guys that can shoot better. And I think that there's also for some reason there's several stats that showed that we just basically missed a lot of really wide open shots. It wasn't so much that we were taking bad shots. It's just that, I mean, even you watch NBA players, man. I mean, almost every one of them who are the 3-point shooter or a guard, they can make 10, 15 threes in a row. No problem when you're warming up. But it's a lot different in the game, That's makes all the difference. But if you're standing all alone there, man, and if the team's been hitting, you can do it. So I think that we're much better and improved in that situation. I don't know what I don't know is whether we're good enough because other teams improved dramatically, whether we're still good enough to beat those other teams if we don't make a move at the trade deadline.
I mean, I think our move at the trade deadline will be motivated by our record and not necessarily by what people want to see.
Well, if the record's not good, I don't think they're going to invest the pick to improve the team. I think that the team have to show that they're capable of winning a championship, or they're not going to invest that pick.
Just like last season.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kurt. I thought it was a fair point as well. And Joe, you're right. Maybe he won't miss the start of the season in 4 months, but I think he'll be out more than just the 6 to 8 weeks because Portland's once they trade Dame, Scoot can't break. So we'll see. He's certainly going to miss all the rest of summer league, and whatever. All right, let's see. There was a good question. Somebody said I like Satya Kilia Jones. I don't know who that is. Never heard of that player, but if he's a tough defender, I'm into it. Kurt has another good question. I don't know how much summer league you've been able to watch LT. I've been able to watch a little bit, but Max Christie has impressed me a tremendous amount. He looks exactly like Austin Reeves did last summer when he came into summer league and showed that he was ready to take that next step and be a rotational NBA player. Now that doesn't mean I expect to see Max Christie getting this role, putting up these number of shots, getting this level of engagement on the offense with the real team. but it does bode well for having a player that you could, as Tom's saying, if the team shows it's worthy of a trade, worthy of burning a pick on getting an impact player, having Christie to toss in with his expiring deal this summer isn't the worst thing. Now, I'm going to make a point about that too, because a lot of people have been harping on Rob, and I think, I harp on Rob about the short contracts too, especially when it came to Reeves, especially when it came to THT, because it meant we lost Caruso as a result. But I think that is how some of these undrafted guys come to the Lakers. I think there's a
get paid sooner.
There's a backroom deal, right? There's a backroom deal with the agent that says, "Look, man, we're going to let you out of
this." Especially with Clutch.
Especially with Clutch, and especially
who started the whole thing.
Well, especially with guys who are like, what? You're going to go like, what, 45, 46, 47, 48? What's the difference?
Right.
You're not even guaranteed to be on the roster. The team can simply let you go. Right. You're not – second-round draft
Everybody forgets these guys. We hit gold on these guys. What are the chances that you do that?
If we hit gold on any one of the two-way guys or, current two-way guys, and Fudge has looked pretty decent as well.
Fudge has got talent.
He's got hops and talent. He's going to, again, these are guys who, let's be honest, would be the 14th or 15th man on this roster and really ought to just spend a lot of time in the G League for at least a year.
Right.
And that's up and down the roster. I have not been that impressed with Hood Schifino. I think he needs to go and watch some film on Rondo and look at how to suck defenses into the paint and make better pocket passes and kick out passes. Don't shoot. Stop shooting now. Stop shooting. Just make plays. You're good enough. You're quick enough. He's got a decent pull up 15-footer and in, but outside the paint, stop. If you're unguarded, sure, lay it up, but don't pull up transition threes. None of that. He's not good at any of it.
His strength, to me, the one thing that I've seen that I think has some potential is his defensive ability. He's got size. He's got size, and he's got pretty good hands and lateral movement. And I mean, one of the goals that we've done really successfully, you'll notice that I think the smallest guy on the team is 6'3" now. We don't have any little guards.
I think it's Vincent.
Yeah. And so I think the thing that we've seen for 2 or 3 years now that our backcourt gets killed simply because they put in small forwards who are 6'8", 6'9", and we got 6'4" and 6'5" guys guarding those guys, and they just take you down to the triangle and jump over you and take an easy jump shot. So I think that we really made an effort to want to get bigger size there for rebounding purposes and defensive purposes. And I think that we've done that in the front court. What really strikes me about Christie is when you look at the 10-man rotation that's going to start the game and play most of the minutes. And I'm assuming that Rui's going to be the starter. But when you look at those players, we've got all 5 starters back essentially. And of the 5 immediate replacements, immediate backups, 3 of those, all 5 of them are almost new guys. You've got Gabriel, you've got Gabe Vincent replacing Schroeder. You've got Prince replacing whoever was our small forward at that backup small forward spot.
Troy Brown Jr.
And then you've got at Max Christie, who's never really been in a rotation, but I think is going to do a great job. And probably the biggest sign, I thought he and Hayes are the 2 biggest weaknesses, the 2 biggest question marks in the reserves. Those are the 2 guys who've never really played a rotation part for the Lakers before or for any team. One of them is a 20-year-old kid in his second year. You're going to make him your backup shooting guard when you could have had Eric Gordon or a whole bunch of guys like that. That's a big stretch. But what's been great about it is he's shown in Summer League that he has done exactly the same thing what he showed when he put him in the game during the season as a rookie late in the year. Every time they put him in, he came through. Every time he took a three in a critical situation, he made the shot. And he played well and that gives me great confidence because that was one of the big holes that we had to fill, which was really, could Christie be a rotation player? So far, the answer is 100% yes.
I agree. And I also think Castleton could be a rotation player.
Castleton is impressive, and I think he'll get a contract, I think, I think he will get a contract.
He'll get that 14th or 15th man spot. I think he's going to follow a very similar career path to Reeves. Yeah. He has the same agent as Reeves.
Same strategy to get here. Right. Yeah, right. No, he looks like a winner, and
he'll kill it.
Jackson Hayes is really the key to that 10-man rotation, because if Hayes can come in and at least do what we need from rim protection and some dunks and some tough physical play so that we don't get taken advantage and we're not undersized when we go out there and we pull AD out of the game. If he can come through and be the kind of impact player and just prove that he can hold down that role the same way Christie can, then we've got a really solid 10-man rotation that is championship caliber. And, and if they play well, I think the Lakers will double down and spend the pick and go out. And what we really need is a guy to close games. We need a guy who, the guy you give the ball to because nobody can stop him in the last few minutes. That's not LeBron. LeBron will get you the best shot. Maybe his and maybe for somebody else. But I'm talking about, a guy who you can give the ball to, clear out the side, and you're going to make a basket. We don't have a closer.
Everybody's high on Rondo's kid in Summer League. It's funny.
High on who?
Rajon Rondo's kid, who's I think an undrafted invitee to Summer League, which I haven't seen him play, so I couldn't say one way or the other.
I didn't know that Rondo had a kid who was that old, because all I remember seeing is a toddler playing with him, in the confetti.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to go and look at Summer League rosters or somebody's.
We're turning a generational cycle here, though. We
really are. We really are. Okay, so I will say this: other than Christie being impressive and not being impressed really with JHS, I've been really impressed with Alex Castleton. I think his feel for the game is. I think he's more of a Lamar Odom clone than Bol because he does great around the rim. He doesn't have.
He can lead a fast break. He's actually a fast break.
He's got decent handle. He's got great passing acumen. He doesn't have really a shot.
He just needs like 30 pounds in the back pocket.
Well, he's 25.
23.
23.
Hodge is 24.
Well, he looks like Zubats did when Zubats came into the league, and Zubats came in after 4 years as well, and Zubats filled out
really
great.
Filled up.
And he filled out within 2 years.
Well, so also too, Castleton can shoot the three.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Big one the other day. That was nice to see.
That's what I thought. Rondo's kid is in grade 5. Thank you, Kurt. That clears that up.
What is it? Grade 5?
Fifth grade. So I was like, okay. And Joe wants everybody.
You saw how big those players that LeBron was coaching?
Yeah, they're giant.
They showed LeBron at 6'9", 260. And he's surrounded by a bunch of kids. They all look like kids, but they're all the same size.
Yeah.
6'8", 6'9", 250, 230.
Okay, so the last thing I want to touch on as we get close to Rondo. No, I remember he was a little tyke in the after they won in the bubble. He came out and played in the confetti. It was awfully cute.
Yeah, I've got 4 or 5 pictures of that.
LeBron was never 260. I don't know about that. I think he was 260 a little bit in Miami when he really bulked up. And they asked him to play like a 4-5 position for the first time. And that was,
I wonder when they're going to, they're measuring players now so that we get actual numbers.
Sure.
When are they going to start weighing it? That's the question.
Yeah, when KD was actually taller than he listed himself as. Yeah. I'm actually taller than what I was. Anyhow, so as we, a lot of people saying the Lakers need to bring in Christian Wood to fill out that 14th, 15th spot. And to be honest, I just don't see a role for him on this team. I don't think his scoring offsets his defense.
Starting power forward.
Or his decision making. I think that you know, he makes poor decisions with the basketball. He's a talented shooter. And you know, if you're a talented enough shooter, you can make a name for yourself in the league. Just go.
Well, but you said earlier that you don't think one shooter can make a difference. So here's the perfect case of the argument I was making earlier, that the Lakers shouldn't go after guys who are just shooters, because the deficiencies in
they're not going to play. They're not going to play. Like,
first, the coach ain't going to play him. Second, then players will not trust him in defense. You know, it rolls downhill so fast that I don't, you know, but here's the thing. I think the Lakers have already accepted the fact that if we believe so much in Jackson Hayes, then we need to make sure we get somebody like to mentor him, you know? So I think that tells you who I think Thompson is the guy that LeBron believes in and that the team believes in to mentor him. And so I think that's who they're going to take. Now, the option that they have, which is getting kind of scary, is that they're probably waiting to see if it's possible that they could get Wood. And they probably would take Wood if they can get him. I mean, I made a proposed trade just as an example, saying that when you come to the trade deadline, you're going to see trades like Rui and Reeves and filler, one, you know, low salary filler for Cat.
Yeah,
man. I mean, I've been brutalized so badly for that, because every Reeves fan in the world is now, well, never trade. He's untouchable, et cetera, forever and ever. But that's the kind of trade that the Lakers have always been tempted with. Now, have they learned their lesson? Because I don't think the lesson is that three superstars can't work. It's just that three superstars have to fit. And my rule is basically get the best player you can get. I don't care if he's a superstar or what, but get the best player you can get, but don't pay more than $30 million. Because if you pay more than $30 million, that's when you get shafted. Because that automatically makes you limited over the tax and limited. You're not going to be able to build a deep team to do it. Although
I think that's exactly why we're about $5 million under the salary cap right now.
Yeah,
a little less.
We are
like 4.7, 4.5.
Well, you know what? That $5 million underneath we're within reach. We'll go into the season over the salary cap and over the luxury tax, but only slightly. But we're within reach of a trade at the trade deadline of getting underneath the luxury tax entirely and getting one of those 2 years to requalify ourselves as non-repeater as far as the luxury tax penalties go. So I think there's a good chance that that's the decision that'll come at the trade deadline. Do we want to improve this team, or do we want to get out of the tax?
I think both. Ideally, if you're Genie Bus.
Well, we are trying to have our cake and eat it too, because
100%.
We are trying to build a young team at the same time as winning a championship with LeBron before he retires.
But you have to walk that tightrope back in the NBA, based on how the new CBA came down.
You know, we're the first LeBron team to do that, though.
I mean, I thought they tried to do that in Cleveland year 1.0. I thought that they tried to bring in guys who here's this guy, here's that guy. No, none of these guys are working.
Traded for Kevin Love. They gave away the number one pick in the draft for Kevin Love. Here's
Booby Gibson. Here's I forget. There's another guy, Delonte West.
They took a lot of bad contracts at the end of that first Cavaliers run.
Yeah. But then they learned how to build a team around him.
We're deliberately not taking. We were not a place for bad contracts at all this last year.
I think we're keeping that 4.5, 4.7 mil specifically to sign one of our two rookies. I think they're going to offer it to either Sexton.
Well, we'll be over by the time we sign both rookies. We're over as soon as they release the deal. We're over the tax, and have a small tax.
No, because the rookie minimum for an undrafted player is like 2.7. It's very affordable because they're not picks, right? They're just you could sign them to the rookie minimum. Let me see what the rookie minimum is for next season.
Who are you talking about? They have the second round pick. That's about $1 million for that guy. 3.7.
Well, but not for Castleton. Castleton was undrafted.
That is a two-way player. It doesn't count against the cap.
But if after summer
if they converted him, he'd be the 15th player. That's the problem.
Yeah.
There's another little wrinkle too. If you only have 14 players, you can still have 3 two-ways, but they can't play as many minutes. The minutes are 3 guys.
So I don't see us going to 15. I think we'll keep a roster.
No, I think we go to 14 because it's cheaper.
And it's 900. Listen, this is why I don't think we're doing Christian Wood. He's not coming for the vet minimum. He's not coming to the vet minimum. He will find.
Oh no, the only way we can bring him is the vet minimum.
This is what I'm saying. This is why I don't think he's going to be a Laker. He doesn't want a vet minimum and a chance to win champion. He wants money and to prove that he's some sort of superstar that he believes in his own mind.
I know.
And that's my take on Christian Wood. That's my take on Christian Wood.
I told him, and a bunch of other people told him that you just do the Malik Monk thing and come to the Lakers, man. You get a $20 million offer.
That requires humility and intelligence, and I don't know that Christian.
No, it requires nobody else being willing to sign him to a contract because of his deficiencies.
I think there's plenty of minimum contracts on his table. I think he's waiting for somebody to offer him something in the 8 to 10 million range.
Yeah,
and he's willing to wait a little while, whatever that means.
Well, because he knows that everything is going to happen.
Also, there are still teams who need to come up to the salary floor. That's what he's waiting for. He's waiting for one of those teams that needs to come up to the salary floor to be like.
But actually, see, that's what people don't realize. That's what people don't realize. What happened with Houston? Why did they pay $43 million to Fred VanVleet? Why did they pay $20 million for 4 years to what's his name? The answer is that in the past you had until the last day of the season.
Got to do it for the first day now.
Now it's the first day of the season. You have to be 90% of the cap.
Right now, Kurt, we have 2. If we sign one more guy, we can have 3 two-ways, but they have to play fewer minutes, fewer games with the big team.
I think Swider's gone, and we just have 2 two-ways.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, but Swider's not on the roster now. He's not on the active roster now.
He's still listed as a two-way because he had a 2-year contract for a two-way.
He's a 2-year two-way, so I think he's going to stay right there. I think they're not going to change that. They're going to keep developing him because he's a decent outside shooter. You just want to see him develop some other skills, And if you give up on him, you've spent. So anyway, real quick, the NBA rookie minimum salary for this season is going to be just above $1 million. I think
just over $1 million.
It's just over $1 million. So you could convert Castleton from his two-way to and still have 3-point-something mil left.
Now that's 3-point-something mil left under the hard cap.
Under the hard cap. Well, under the first.
But you're over the luxury tax threshold.
That's fine. That's fine. The Lakers don't mind. They operate over.
Well, they'd like to be under that threshold too.
In 2 years.
If they don't invest in the team at the trade deadline, the other move would be to divest of somebody in order to get underneath that. So they need 2 out of 5 years to be non-tax.
Sean agrees with you that we might just lose Cole Swider this season. I think they'll. I mean, who knows? It doesn't. Listen, he barely played last season. That's something to remember. Under Frank Vogel, I think you'll see a lot of the two-ways get some minutes just to see if they gain some traction. Darvin Ham didn't function that way. Even when we were struggling, we released Matt Ryan after Matt Ryan was one of our two-ways, right? And then we shipped him out after he won a game for us and said, thanks for the win. Bye, buddy. It was like 2 weeks.
I can't remember last year where we were as far as the roster count when they converted Reeves.
Yeah.
Because the only reason I see them not converting Castleton right now would be that 14th, 15th player deal. See, because now only teams that are in the hard cap can get buyout players. That's a big deal, man.
No.
14 teams are under the cap or under the hard cap right now. So those 14 teams are the only teams that can get buyout candidates.
You mean the salary floor? I'm sorry. You mean the first apron?
I mean not the first apron that are actually limited by a hard cap.
Second apron.
Well, they're under the second apron.
That's what I mean. They're between the first and second apron. Correct?
No, they're under the first apron. 14 teams are under the first apron.
Yeah, you have to be under the apron for buyout candidates this season. And I think that's why you'll see the Lakers at most convert Castleton and roll as is. I don't think Christian Wood's
the problem is then if they convert him, then they have to dump somebody if they had an opportunity to buy somebody out. So they're not going to convert him. They're gonna hold him until they need him.
So this is a valid point Kurt brings up. Last year we needed a backup center, and Ham would have played Schroeder over bringing up a two-way. That makes sense, though, right? Dennis Schroeder's an NBA talent. Ham's one of those coaches that is.
Fathers always like to play their sons. What can we say?
Well, and Ham is one of those guys like Vogel that's going to give the nod to the current NBA guy first. No, everybody can talk about the potential and the majesty of whatever. Mm-hmm. He's going to give the vet a shot first. He did it with that AARP team we saw when it took him forever to play Reeves meaningful minutes. And then Reeves hit a wall right after he got a meaningful role. It was like, oh, man, This just doesn't work out. But the point being is that he let Trevor Ariza flounder. He let Kent Bazemore flounder. He let all these guys flounder in a role that Reeves is built for before he promoted Reeves. He gave every vet a chance.
The nice thing, though, now is that Ham and Pelinka are making the decisions together.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
No, I think they are.
I mean,
listen,
did you notice that
I didn't hear anybody say that Rob called me? Everybody who talked about being called by the Lakers front office
talked about him.
Talking to Darwin.
Yeah,
Darwin's the guy who made the calls.
I just got this is hilarious. I mean, I don't know. We'll see, Sean. We'll see. I mean, you know, if one of the strippers drops 40 on him, he has to show respect based on his playoff rules. So those are the rules. He made them. I just, you know, that's so anyway, Oscar Vargas, I wanted to clarify something. There's two that works two ways. One, if you have 15 guys on your roster, 14 or 15 players on the roster, you can have 3 two-way contracts, which means you really have 18 players on the roster, right? Or 17, depending on how many. But if you have 15 guys on your roster, you can, and this kind of doesn't make sense to me. If you have 15 guys on the roster, you can play the two ways more, which you would think, if you thought about it, it would be the opposite.
No, you can play the two ways. If you have 14 players on the roster,
they play less.
They'll have less two ways, but they can only play
available.
The minutes that two would.
Anyway, we'll post. What's I have a copy of the CBA. I'm going to find some of these provisions in it and put them in a little document. We'll bring some of this stuff up.
You see classified on it? Be careful.
No, it's just it's a PDF. They released it. It's
top
out.
Secret.
No, it's not. You can get it. Everybody has it. It's public. It's public domain, baby. But anyway, there's a couple of different ways the two ways can work based on the number of guys on your roster. 13 and under, you can only get two ways. 14 or 15, you can have 3 two ways. 14, they play less minutes. 15, they have more minutes to play at the big level. I say it doesn't make sense. If you had fewer guys, then you would need the two ways more. But when you have more guys, they give the two ways more. I guess that's to be like, hey, you filled out your roster with like real NBA guys. Great job. You've given a lot of people a job. Here's some potential guys you can tread through as well. Go forth. And so anyway.
Well, here's something that I thought was interesting about the draft strategy the Lakers used. Because you would think that if you were going to there's two types of players you go for. You go for the long-term guy, the guy with the upside, you know, who's got real potential, could be a star, you know, you could hit gold with it. Or you go for the guy who's maybe played for 4 years, is closest to being able to help right now, doesn't have the upside, but he's a sure thing. Well, the Lakers, oddly, they took their first and second round pick and choose 20-year-olds who aren't going to help anywhere.
And they should play in the G League for 2 years minimum.
Yeah, and then they turned around to the two-way players. And they only chose two-way players who have been 5 years of college and probably more ready to contribute than either of the other 20-year-old rookies. And that's Castleton and Hodge. Both played 5 years in school. One's 23, one's 24. both defensive stars in their league. Both of them, I think, were league's defensive player of the year. One is a guard who had led the league with 2.5 steals, and then Castleton blocked 3 shots a game. So it's almost as if the Lakers were saying, you know what, this year, maybe we're going to do it differently, and maybe we are going to use those two-way players as the real 10 to 13 players on the roster rather than plain old veterans that we had.
We've talked a little bit, Kurt and Sean, we've talked a little bit. I mentioned it. I'm not, yes, I think the Suns filled out their roster with a lot of potentially great vet minimum players. I'm not expecting much out of always injured Eric Gordon. I'm not expecting much out of Bol Bol. I just don't expect much out of the Phoenix Suns, to be honest. I think they're going to take a step back this season. This is exactly right.
Didn't they have the best record last year?
No, Denver did.
Oh, Denver did, right.
Denver had the best.
Third best?
Yes. Sorry, suddenly my phone blew up. They were like third best. It was, I want to say Memphis had a better record even than they did.
Memphis was second best. I remember that.
All right, so let's talk about. We're coming up on an hour here. There's one more thing I'd like to address before we move on, and that's the hype signing of the year. Everybody loves Cam Reddish. He's going to be great. It's going to change the Lakers. I don't believe it, but okay, we'll see. Anyway, so here we are at Lakerholics.com. This is where you can, feel free to post anytime. Tom and I are here all the time. We will engage. Michael H., blog editor, great guy, will engage. Mongo, Stan, the real HTJ, will have a pessimistic viewpoint about anything, more in line with how I see things. And this is a post Tom put up. I want to say last night. Maybe it was this morning. Let's see. Was it? It was today. It was this morning. So Tom threw up this post about Cam Reddish. This is my favorite part. I'm very personable. He's bringing a phenomenal personality. I think that's fantastic because I really think that's about the extent of what we're gonna. That's about the extent of what we're gonna get out of Cam Reddish. Like Christian Wood. I just don't see a meaningful role on this team for either players. I mean, right away you're behind the depth chart. Unless something, injuries, sure, okay.
It's a minimum salary signing, man.
I know, but everybody's talking about.
But no, listen. One thing.
Everybody's like everybody. No. Hold on. Let me say something. When we signed Cam Reddish, everybody on the blog, everyone was like, "Oh, it finally happened. The Lakers got Cam Reddish," and I was like Monty Python, and there was much rejoicing. My give a care meter. I don't care. The dude has to show he belongs. This is his last shot, right? This is the last train to Clarksville, and we met him at the station, and he's got to hop on the train and figure out his role and find a way to make an impact, or he's going to be playing in Taiwan or EuroLeague or somewhere else in another world, across the world rather, next season this time. That's where he's at.
I look at it completely differently.
No way.
Get out of here. The way the Lakers do.
Okay.
To me, this is the guy who has a pedigree.
How the Lakers look at it.
Listen, the Lakers have the 8th, 9th, and 10th picks in the 2019 draft. The number 8 pick was Hayes. The number 9 pick was Hachimura, I think, and the number 10 pick was Reddish. So the thing is, there's no better definition of a low-risk, high-reward player than signing a guy like Reddish or signing a guy like Hayes. Because these were guys who, number one, that they have the physical talent, the physical skill set that made them a lottery pick, or in this case, a top 10 pick. Now, they haven't succeeded, and a lot of times the reason players don't succeed is the location that they go to and the situation that they're in. The coach staff that they're in, or their own lack of maturity and inability to do that. Cam's bounced around a lot of 7 places, and I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, you got to remember there's 2 things that you can say about this team, about this coaching staff that we know already. Number one, they are very good at player development. And if you look at their resumes, it's almost every single coach, their specialty as a coach in the NBA has been player development. Every one of the staff is that way. They didn't go out and pick a veteran here and a veteran there or anything. They went out and picked guys to develop players because that was all part of this whole scheme to make the team a lot younger before LeBron leaves. And when you see what they've done with Reeves, and you see what they did with Monk, and you see what they did with Walker, and you see what they did with Schroeder, just go down the line, and then you look at the talent that Hayes has, the talent that Reddish has. For me, the talent that Bol has, or the talent that Christian Wood has. If these guys believe that they can take one of these players and turn them into gold, I'd rather have that as my 11th, 12th, or 13th player than a washed out veteran who's hoping to have another couple of years left, or a Wenyen Gabriel who's never really ever going to be good enough to be a contributor to a championship team.
I kind of disagree on the Wenyen Gabriel.
Smart, low risk, high reward move.
I mean, I'll say this. I think that based on his size, skill set, and ability to do things that at least that I've seen in his NBA career to this point, I think Wenyen Gabriel has more of a role on this team than Cam Reddish does. Cam Reddish is not a rebounder.
Yeah,
Cam Reddish is not a defender.
Ends up
Cam Reddish isn't even a shooter. Like he's not a good shooter. Like, so at what point, at what point is it that the project is just what it is, that the lump of clay that you wanted to turn into this wonderful looking statue, it just didn't work out.
There's a difference between a project like Wenyen doesn't have the talent to ever really get to a certain point. He's doing it all in effort. When a guy's picked 8th, 9th, or 10th in this league, that the talent is there. It's the question of, can you get past the mental parts of his game? Can you get past the things that are holding him back? Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I will say, I mean,
no different than drafting, drafting a 6'4" point guard, or not drafting, but signing a 6'4" point guard, white point guard from Oklahoma and wherever else he played. It's you're making a judgment on personnel. And
one of those guys went undrafted and has carved his way into an NBA role, and another of the guys was a top 10 pick and has yet to find an NBA role.
No, he's carving his way out of the NBA.
He's playing his way right out of the NBA.
And listen, you're not going to hit the percent. So let's say we have really 3 unknowns on this team. If you count Christie, and you count Hayes, and you count Reddish, you got 3 guys there who've never had a role on a winning team in the rotation. And we're counting on at least 2 of those 3 to come through.
I don't think we're counting on Cam Reddish. I think he's, like I said, like 4th on the depth chart right
No,
now.
we're not counting on Reddish to come through, and we're not counting on either one of our first 2 draft picks to come through.
No.
Or
the undrafted guys. No,
we are counting. The guy we're counting on is Christie and Hayes.
No, we're counting on LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and it ends there. It ends there. You want to see Reeves continues to succeed to the level that he did last season. You don't want to have a situation
like last year where every time AD went out of the game, we had nobody to cover.
That's right.
We're getting killed. That's why Hayes is so important. And we had Walker and we had firepower backing up Reeves, so. Because you still had Beasley and Walker at that point in time. Now you're counting on Christie. So those guys have big loads on their shoulders.
I'm with you, Joe. I'm with you. I mean, listen. According to him, he's got a lovely personality, and that's fantastic. You need a guy like that in the locker room. Keep it light, keep it fun. That's Boban, right? Boban does the same thing. Jared Dudley used to do the same thing. Now he's a coach. You need that 14th, 15th guy to accept this is, I guess, what I'm saying. If you are the 14th, 13th, 14th, 15th man guy on an NBA roster, there's a level of humility that has to come with that position. You have to accept and embrace even not playing, not getting the chance that you feel you deserve. You have to.
I think every team needs to have somebody at the end of the bench who's satisfied with being there.
More than one. Listen, you're only going to play 12 guys a night at most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Most,
but
at most, you're going to play 12 guys a night.
I'm not worried about that with Ham, because I think Ham, when you look at the ins and outs of what happened last year, I think Ham showed that he knows how to really manage his locker room extremely well. You think the Westbrook
Joe? You know what, Joe? Not with an attitude like that, you won't be playing in the NBA. God, let's up our attitude here, people.
You guys just pick on one thing and it's just scab it to death, man.
No. I thought it was funny. It's funny. Come on, we're joking here. We're laughing. We're having a good time. I agree, Kurt. I think Reeves will come out really positively for the Olympic team experience this summer. I kind of wish. I don't know if D'Lo would ever get the invite because he folds like a chair when the games matter. But I would love to have seen D'Lo get an invite to the Laker team as well. I couldn't disagree with this more, Jesse. Because there's only one or two that we don't know how Wembanyama plays. If we're going to base it off of his first summer league game, it's not very well. He shot 2 for 9. Had 4 assists and a couple of turnovers, a couple of nice defensive plays, nice block shot of the number 2 draft pick. I'm forgetting his name. But
Brandon Miller.
But we have LeBron and we have AD, right? Like, that's in this moment in time. On down the line, sure, we need a guy like Wembanyama. Right now, you need to, this is what I think Rob has actually really done a great job at. And I'm quick to throw Rob Pelinka a critical barb. Tom has been quick to, both praise and critique Rob Pelinka depending on the day. But I'm pretty consistent in my, I don't think, man, that's a good one, Sean. That's a good one. Listen, I don't think the Lakers don't need project players right now, right? Like, if you want to develop a guy who's going to maybe be a rotational player in a couple of months, okay.
What do you think the odds are that he's going to be a contributing player?
Cam Reddish?
5%. 21.
I expect him to have less of a role than Troy Brown Jr. did last season. And Troy Brown Jr. had a much larger role because of injuries to LeBron James and AD.
Well, we got Prince, so Reddish is really the third small forward.
At best.
He falls in the 11 through 15 range.
If you put, let's just say for a second that Jackson Hayes doesn't start, right? Just for a second. That means AD's at the 5, LeBron's at the 4, Hachimura's at the 3, Reeves is at the 2.
LeBron's at the 3, Hachimura's at the 4.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. Sure. And D'Lo starts. Behind Hachimura is Vando. Behind Vando is any number of guys. Before Reddish, you could either put you could move Reeves over to the 3 and go small. You could move Hachimura to the 3 and do Vando at the 4 and Hayes at the 3 and Hayes at the 5 and go.
Reddish is the third 3.
Reddish is at best the third 3. Right. Prince is going to play before him, and I would again.
Prince is the backup 3.
And if Darvin Ham continues his predilection to going with a 3-guard lineup, that squeezes Reddish out even more because you can't play Reddish at the 4.
Reddish is a 3. He's going to have to earn his minutes. He's going to have to take Prince's job.
And this is what I mean. So if that's the role you're in with your vet minimum deal and you're feeling the pressure of not being in the association this time next year, how does Cam Reddish respond to that? He's been moved because of generally over a disgruntlement of minutes.
He'll respond appropriately or he'll be waived.
from literally every single team he's played on. And a lot of those had a need for a guy with his skill set, and he still played his way off the team. I'm looking at the New York Knicks specifically. And
that's how you get guys that have potential. If he lived up to his potential, he'd never been available to us. What do you want instead? You want to look, there's a million guys who could do nothing for you at a minimum in the 15th or 14th player on the team. To get an opportunity to get a guy with the talent that Cam Reddish has, even if it's just a 5% chance, and I give it more like a 20% chance that he could be a contributor, then I think it's a smart move.
I think Christie plays in front of Cam Reddish. I'm not going to lie.
This is the type of thing that drives me crazy about the naysayers and the negativers. If the Lakers can have a terrific offseason, we'll have a podcast, and they'll spend 1 hour of a podcast talking about why we shouldn't have given a minimum contract.
It's been more like 15 minutes.
Jesus, come on, guys. There's a million positive things going on with the Lakers to talk about, and the glass is always draining empty, man.
Well, hold on. Let me just fill that glass right back up there.
Boy, you better do it.
No, I mean, I'm just being realistic. I'm just being realistic. I'm just saying that on this team, as constructed, based on how guys play in the playoffs,
eat crow and have him be a star and win 2 or 3 games for us, and then have to suck it up. Listen,
if he makes a game-winning 3-point shot like Matt Ryan, I know what his future is. It's him getting waived in 2 weeks after he does it, which I found astounding at that time. But then how do you really feel, Joe? Oh wait, hold on. Oh, okay, there we go. Joe Reddish sucks. Jackson sucks. Bull sucks. All right, Joe. There's some positive. There's some positive. Somebody. This is valid. I thought Saric was a great pickup. Again, this guy gets hurt a lot. If he's available for the playoffs, great. I thought him not being available for, wasn't it Miami when we played them in the bubble? Was he on Miami at the time? I can't remember. He was supposed to be on a team we played in the bubble and wasn't. And I thought that was one of those things that ended up.
So I was actually hoping the Lakers might have an outside shot at him.
I mean, if you look at the team that helped us get to the Western Conference Finals, which was AD, LeBron, obviously Schroeder's gone, but Vincent's going to take his role. D'Lo, let's just put Vincent in the rotation, right? You assume that because of how he stepped up into the playoffs, that they'll give him every opportunity to do so again. Reeves, at the time, Troy Brown Jr., swap him out with Taurean Prince. And that was about it. Of guys who are still on the team, right?
Notice there weren't any bigs and there weren't any 6'8" guys.
We had no bigs to speak of. Actually, and that's not true. Vando, sorry, I left Vando off that. Vando was instrumental in the first 2 rounds. And Wenyan's played
increasingly became. It was almost like watching Vando turn into Ben Simmons over 4 or 5 games.
Well, but for a fraction of the cost and none of the hype. But I will say this: I disagree with that. Vando became unplayable against Denver. Everybody had players on their team that became unplayable against Denver because of the unique construction of Denver's roster. They're huge on the back line. Aaron Gordon plays bigger than he is, and he already is.
Gordon had the best playoff of his entire career.
Everybody, KCP had a step-up game. Gordon had 2 step-up games against us. Michael Porter Jr. was average, but still impactful. And Murray and Jokic were transcendental. And Bruce Brown found a way to, even though if you go back and look at his playoff numbers, it wasn't that he shot lights out or like did all this great things. It's that he made the shot. He was a timely clutch player for them all playoffs long. Nobody figured out. 0 teams figured that out, right? So I don't look at that as being a knock on Vando so much as that.
Well, I think if we played them over again 10 times, we'd win 6 times.
Last season? No, not last season.
I think we would. I thought, listen, you know what what really stood out is that this was the number 1 and number 2 playoff performances where a guy scored a higher percentage where he took his regular season average and went up higher. These two players for Denver, Jokic and Murray, ranked number 1 and 2 in this playoffs for the biggest gain from your regular season average to the playoff. This was an incredible playoff effort by them, especially in our series. But throughout the entire playoffs, they put together one of those perfect seasons, much like we did in the 2020 bubble. It was a perfect season where every move their coach made, every time they needed a clutch shot, they got it.
No,
they beat us by 27 points in 4 games that we could have won all 4 games.
Yeah, but we didn't. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think, and I will even go so far as to say is that if LeBron was even 50% better than he was, which was only like 50%.
Or if D'Lo didn't choke, man.
Or if D'Lo didn't choke for the entire Western Conference Finals, or if AD could have just been consistent, right? Like your variance with Anthony Davis was so epic. It was either 7 points, and I mean, he always rebounded the ball well. He averaged 10 rebounds a game for the playoffs.
And he played good defense. You can't take that
away.
He
played good defense. But no. For the money you're paying AD, you need to expect 18 to 20 points a game, regardless of the series, regardless of the opponent. That's why you're getting paid.
Denver did what they had to do to win. They played spectacularly, man. They outperformed what they did in what was a dominating regular season.
Yeah, they stepped up, and
I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can do it again. I don't think they can match those numbers again. They lost a couple of guys.
I think Miami and Denver are going to have a hard time getting back to where they got to this season. Having said that,
Miami's going to get Dame though.
I don't know if that's the case. I think Portland is going to. I think Portland's going to try to Kobe this.
I don't know. I don't know if any team is going to give you value, anything close to value for Dame, unless Dame says he'll go there.
No party in the Portland saga has done themselves any favor. Dame hasn't done himself any favor to grease the trade wheels. The GM did himself 0 favors by not making a draft day deal that it sounds like he could have made. I mean, and then when Scoot Henderson got hurt, it was almost as if the gods were like,
they should have done this 3 or 4 years ago, you know.
Well, but Dame, you know, I have to admire what Dame Lillard did. I like how he stuck by his deal.
I don't have a single problem with any of the player empowerment stuff, because how many people, when you go out to do the job that is your dream job, and they tell you got to go to Minneapolis to do it, or you got to go to Orlando to do it, or you got to go to Portland to do it.
Plenty of jobs.
No, and
yes.
If you want to be an NBA player, then you spend 7 years somewhere else that you don't want to be, and that's not fair. There's ways around that. It's unconstitutional. If it were ever challenged, you know, it's the Kurt Flood case all over again, man.
All right, we're not.
You want to draft this guy? If you want Wembanyama, then pay him the most money. Put a hard cap on the league and then eliminate the draft entirely.
Oh, that's crazy. All right, this is obviously a topic for another day, because we're at an hour 15, and I've got stuff to do today. I can't do this all day. So anyway, we'll stop it here. We'll just say that I'm right about Cam Reddish, and we'll move on from there. This is Jamie.
Consistently, Jamie would predict that Cam Reddish is probably going to be cut, or will have no effect, or be tossed in as filler on a trade. Because that's the glass half empty answer to Cam Reddish.
No, the glass half empty after.
How about Hayes? What's your prediction on Hayes?
I think Hayes has a 50-50 chance to start.
50-50 start. That's pretty good.
Because I'll tell you why. Because Rui played so well as a backup 5 against the best center, arguably, in the league, and held his own for the most part in short minutes. That to me, I know that I'm sure he signed his deal hoping he would be the starting 3, but if it works out for the team, That
Well, he signed it hoping he'd be the starting 4, but you raised an interesting point. Maybe he should be the starting 5.
he might be.
Think about that, because LeBron could play the big argument about putting Rui in there has always been LeBron's got to guard the 3.
That wouldn't change. Well, if we're going to be honest, LeBron is going to guard the worst player on the other team.
Yeah, he's going to.
It doesn't matter what
slowest backcourt.
Right. It doesn't matter what his It doesn't matter what his position is. That's LeBron's guy. No. He'd guard the assistant coach if he could, but that's just.
But but he can in the clutch situation. He still can defend, man.
You're talking about. We're talking about a half hour of defense for the entire season.
Well, yeah, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there.
Maybe 45 minutes of
defense. But wait a minute. Think about this. Rui at center, LeBron at power forward, and Anthony Davis at the 3.
But not, oh my God. that is never going to happen.
Well, but
anyway. No.
But it's ridiculous because everybody takes what position you play is not your offensive position, man. The position you really play, because otherwise LeBron would be point guard. The position you really play is a position you can defend.
I mean, to a degree, sure. All right. At any rate, we'll now have to agree that I'm also right about AD never playing the 3 again, ever. And
that's what he wants to play. That's his preferred position.
The 3?
He said out loud that he dreams of finishing his career at the 3.
He's great. Well, that means
I'd love to see him lose. I'd love to see, I think you agree with me. I'd love to see him lose weight and get back to being the quicker and faster.
I want him to lose 10 to 20 pounds, whatever, And
the fact that Pelinka's talked to him about moving back to the 4, hopefully that will influence his efforts this summer of what to do. He won't be packing on weight to play the 5.
I don't think the bulk he's added has done him any favors injury-wise. And it certainly didn't do his jump shot any favors. It was so much better his first season when he was at the 4 and slimmer. And every season that he's bulked up since then, his offensive production has dipped. I mean, until Darvin Ham said, stop shooting from the outside and score in the paint. And then his numbers went right back up. And you saw what he is as an elite paint presence.
But the problem with that is that makes it even that puts even more pressure on other teams to pack the paint against.
And that's what I'm saying. Well, there's no until you get rid of LeBron and AD. You got to
bully ball and brutalize the other team for points in the paint and free throws.
Now, I will say that if we could convince LeBron to play in the post more, and you heard that in the playoffs, every announcer would be like, "Oh, LeBron in the post is so deadly. Why doesn't he do it more?" And the answer to that is he doesn't want to, and so he's not. And he's definitely not going to do it.
The answer is when you can do everything anything that the team needs, he should do it. But it's also matchup based. It really just depends on.
He just doesn't want to get.
It's like I look at guys like, you look at Jackson Hayes, for example, and you think about as a point guard, your job always is to get each player to optimize the things he does well and avoid the things they don't do well. And that's what managing the game is all about, and distributing the opportunities and getting everybody involved. It's really the difference between the old school point guard and what today is now a lead scoring guard. That's Steph Curry is not Steve Nash. Believe me, those are two different entire players and philosophies of how you do the game.
I agree.
I like the fact that the Lakers basically want a little bit of point guard and everybody on the floor.
I think it's to the team's strength, and I think it's to Ham's system strength. I think that he likes to see guys cutting. Yep. Right, a lot of our offensive movement comes on backdoor or off of screen, weak side cuts. Right, you'll see a guy screen somebody, and that guy's man will get stuck, and if the other guy doesn't roll to the rim right, we'll hit that guy for a pass. It's just smart basketball at this point.
It's just common sense, man. Remember when you played? The last guy you wanted to guard was that guy who was running around all the time and never stopped.
Right.
Oh,
and
those
like
would be
the,
them. You
the
take
Warriors,
him. I'll take this guy over here in the corner.
Right, or the guy who's just standing under the rim. I'll just front him because I'm
right. Yeah, I mean it's.
And the Warriors run the inverse of that, right? The Warriors run cuts, they run screens and stuff off screens on the perimeter to get him 3-point shots. The Lakers do it with the idea of having somebody cut to the rim and get an open pass and score in the paint. Anyway, all right, it's now we're coming up on an hour and a half. I really got to go have lunch because I'm quite hungry. So I'd like to thank Laker Tom for our vibrant and lively discussion. I would like to thank the best Lakers chat room on this planet. Howard Hill, Connor Lancaster, Sean Magic Man Grice, Joe Oxnard Team 47, evidently retired from something. I don't know what. Jesse Serrano, Calmioso, Okay Bear. All of you guys, it's been great. Oscar Vargas, J.E., Kurt Affair. I'm assuming that means it was short. And I'm sorry for that. Some of us need long affairs. Others, they're quite curt. Anyhow, I'd like to thank Gerald Glassford, the Podfather, as Sean calls him, for keeping the ball rolling. Please like and subscribe our channel here on YouTube. I think we're pretty close to 900 subscribers rather. So it'd be great if we could get to that number before the season, so we can continue to bring you lively debates, interesting opinions, so on and so forth. Feel free to vote on who was more correct today, me or Tom. I would love to see what the
send your emails to Jamie Sweet.
You won't find me there. I don't know who you'll get, but you'll get somebody who will be like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Come on, Lakerholics.
Just remember this when
there's a way to do polls on this.
When we win the first game, just because of Cam Reddish.
Oh my God!
In honor of
I will.
Glass half empty, Jamie Sweet.
Oh boy, bring it! Listen. I believe that I was right for 3 years running when it came to our trade. Our trade.
Well, that's because you just said no trade's going to happen. No trade's going to happen.
Because I thought no trade was going to happen.
That trade's not going to happen.
And then last season, last season I said the best chance we're going to have to trade Westbrook is right before the trading deadline. And lo,
what? But if there's a trade, but he said it wasn't going to be a trade.
What happened? No, I said we weren't going to trade him for Hield and Turner. And lo, what happened? We didn't trade him for Hield and Turner. We traded him for nobody that anybody ever saw coming. But it did happen close to the deadline.
That's right. So, no trades.
I don't see a trade happening this year. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. I think only because
there will be a major trade at the trade deadline.
It won't be a major trade if it's a trade at all. If it's a trade at all, it will be for a marginal player. It'll be like Cam Reddish for Troy Brown.
Lakers will win their 18th NBA championship this year.
I think this team has a good chance to get back to the Western Conference Finals, and if you get back to the Western Conference Finals, that gives you a good shot to get to the NBA Finals. You only got to beat one team at that point. So, I think I give that a 60% chance of happening, that the Lakers make the NBA Finals. What I would like to see
61.
Oh man! All right, Price is Right. All right, there we go. Tom's gonna over me on $1 on every.
Fun, man.
We'll do it again next Saturday. That RV's worth $60,000. All right, I think it's worth $60,001. Okay. All right. Yes, I think I am on for next Saturday. I had to think about it for a second. I got swim lessons again with Sydney, so it'll have to be one-ish again.
Okay. We'll do it at 1 next Saturday.
And I'd like to thank, as again, our whole chat.
Great job, guys.
Thank you for keeping us going. And I think Gerald's still going to do a show later tonight, or there's no game tonight, so it'll probably be tomorrow at this point.
Right.
I think it'll be. Well, join us on what's the thing we use for? I don't do it because I can't.
I keep switching. I've forgotten.
No, it was the playback. Join us on playback during the game.
Right.
You can argue with Joe about really anything.
Join us on a small screen.
And we'll do. I'm sure we'll do a post game Laker Fast Break after that. Subscribe us on YouTube, rate our podcasts on wherever you get podcasts from. Stone Hansen, give him a shout out if you're doing podcasts. He's He's there at Summer League. He's doing some true research. We appreciate everything you bring to the show, Stone. And everybody, stay safe, stay sane. And I'd like to say thank you from all of us right here at the Lakers Fast Break.